Hi, I'm Sean Blanda, editor here at eMedia Vitals. As publishing niches are getting smaller, the sales staff of these publications are being pressured to find leads high in quality, not necessarily high in quantity. IDG Connect has addressed this issue by leveraging the very tools that are putting publishing at risk in the first place, tools such as social media and free content. It leverages these tools to filter out its audience and deliver out high-quality leads to its vendors and advertisers. We talked to Frank Cutitta, General Manager of IDG Connect, to see how they do it.
The genesis of IDG Connect is that we had individual databases across IDG that represented the individual brands, in this case Computer World, Network World, and Info World, and a few of the other brands. And we sold them individually as parts of those brands, where we would sell slices of the audience and brand them from the Computer World from line or the Info World from line. So what we did is we consolidated those databases into one giant data warehouse, which was called IDG Connect. And in our business model, in addition to the individual business units selling their own individual databases, we sell swatches and audiences across the company based on people's criterion. The traditional stuff that we offer is mostly straight. You give us a criterion for an advertiser or for a buyer, and we'll send out mail. In this case, we'll send out somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 million pieces of mail a week on an opt-in basis. When someone engages with that content asset, which is the trendy term for white papers or webcasts these days, we will collect that information from the person. If it meets the criterion, we'll get paid on a cost per lead basis, anywhere from $45 to $145. We turn this also into what I call a car wash approach, where we offer different stages of car washing, where we can have multiple engagements of leads, where people do 2 or 3 different things in a multiple engagement lead. And based on those multiple engagements, we find that people become more and more qualified based on the sophistication of the content that they're consuming. And in those cases, we can raise the criterion and the pricing to higher pricing levels and higher criterion levels, that if they do three things with these kinds of content, then the lead price would be higher. So we're taking existing data and raising the price of the lead based on the names that we already have within the database. And what that really was going to buyers, the people that buy virtualization products, and say, what do you want in terms of your content for this journey that leads to a purchase? So we would research them, and they'd say, here's the specific detail that I want. And I don't care whether it's in a webcast, I don't care whether it's in a white paper, but it's content first rather than format first. And what most people say is, I want 3 white papers and 2 webcasts, and they say, what are you going to put into them? And they say, I don't know, I haven't decided yet. Well, then why do you need that? And what we found is that the important thing is that when you don't put format first, is that you get a very different kind of lead. Because bad content is only magnified by webcasting. And you've seen those webcasts. I mean, some of them could be used to garner confessions out of people we have in Guantanamo, probably. No more. I can't just stop it. And so what we tell people is that once you have excellent content, then you can map it with the best formats that it will go into. And a lot of that is based on generational aspects of how people consume and digest information. Younger people might like things more YouTube-ish. Other people might like traditional white papers.
As a publisher, it may be tempting to get your database full of prospective leads and immediately start the mass mailings. Frank says to avoid this pitfall, because your database, after all, is a community, and you shouldn't spam them. Treat them the same way you would like to be treated as an email recipient.
First of all, you have to look at your database as a community, number one. Don't look at it as people that receive our stuff, but look at it as people who I want to try to inspire to converse with each other in some way, shape, or form. It's an opiate, this business, because you start seeing leads coming in at $60 a lead, and you said, more mail, more money, more mail, more money. And so a lot of people just keep on sending out mail and expect more money, and all of a sudden you see this precipitous drop that people just said, no mas, I can't handle anymore. So the real art of this is, like I said, is sending not enough and sending too much, finding some place in the middle. We also get into what I call criterion fatigue, which is the same 1,000 company size, IT professionals. So I mean, we really have to be careful about pacing how much mail we can send out. It's surprising how little the clients that we have actually look at what the users are talking about in other forms of media. So we spend a lot of time. For example, I was just meeting with our content optimization guy today, talking about him going in and auditing content that's been retweeted by other parties. 3 or 4 times. So if you find on Twitter that this thing has been retweeted 20 times and it's about cloud computing, I want to go back to that asset and have you do a lab test on it to see what the attributes are of that make it retweetable. Because we want to replicate that. And that's an important part, that if user-generated circulation is sending this thing all over around the world, there's something to be said for that because it's credible and reliable sources, because peer-to-peer always shows up as #1. So I think we're at a point right now where we have to not only ask the readers what they want through research, but we have the unique ability right now to watch it. You know, if I went to Twitter right now, I'd be able to watch 30 retweets related to virtualization in a second and say, this is what it's about. And I think that's very, very important in our world right now.
If you're interested in building your own lead database, Frank has several pieces of advice for you. But mainly, start small.
So you have to deal with new forms of getting people to register with lighter registrations and then moving them through a more sophisticated registration process with every engagement because we're just not able to get the same kind of deep data you have anymore. So start small. Gather, no name is unimportant. Every email address is critically important. And sales have much higher expectations. They fish with a hook, not with a net. So getting an award for generating 10,000 leads is no award to the sales department at all. They say, I need 50 a month. So you have to be able to refine your business down to the economies of small to get it down to the kind of leads that salespeople want. And in doing so, being able to charge a higher price for it, but sales is fine with that because that means it's a lot less calls and more quality in terms of the response that they get.